Hey guys, Will Terry here, and today's video is going to be called My Comic Con Expenses, and this is video number 5. And I've got a playlist where I'm adding all these to, so you can watch all of them from start to finish. So I'm going to share all my expenses. I've been keeping track in this video. Before I get going on that, I just want to always mention you can always contact me below. I've got all my social media accounts there, and also you can check out our online classes at svslearn.com. Okay, so got all the totals in, and then I'm going to talk about my pricing structure and stuff like that, and some other pieces of advice. So here we go. Let's just dive right on in here. Oh, I was going to mention I set up the booth today at Comic-Con, so I'm a little frazzled. It's been a long day, and but I got everything done. Everything's up there, and man, it's a lot of work, but it's also, very exciting. Okay, so I'm just going to go through these, and we're going to total them all up and see what we come up to. So the first thing is I had to get a banner, and you're going to see that in the next video because I'm going to show the booth. I'm going to show selling at the booth, a bunch of other things. In fact, I'm actually going to make an extra little bonus video, which is a prank video. I'm going to prank some of my friends up there. So if they don't watch my channel, that's their fault, right? Because they're going to get pranked. Yeah, and I'm going to share all the totals, all the total sales, the gross sales, and we're going to compare it to the expenses and see if I can get in the black. So I got a, let's see, it's a 6-foot by 2.5-foot banner with my name on it to put up above. Salt Lake City Comic Con kind of threw, not really a curveball because they gave announcements, but I didn't see it. And we found out, a couple of us found out just a few days ago that they're not doing any pipe and drape. And so we had to scramble. And so it costs just a little bit more to get that sign up in the air, because when they don't do the pipe and drape at the convention, then there's nothing that they provide that we could hang from. So we had to kind of rig up our own stand with some PVC pipe, and I think it looks a little bit hokey, but at least it gets the sign up there. I think that's really important for people to be able to see you. In fact, ironically, I think it's actually going to work in my favor in some ways, because without the pipe and drape, you can see the vast array of Artist Alley. I've heard they do that in Seattle as well. You can see through to every single table because you're just looking through all the rows, and you can see over all of them, except for the few people that have gotten their signs up in the air. Not more than just a few, but I would say most people aren't going to be able to get something really tall up there. And so in some ways that might be a bonus, because people could see my name, maybe 3, 4, 5 rows away. So it might end up working out as a bonus. So I felt like I really needed to get a banner. I was going to use the backdrop that I have here. This is actually a banner, but I don't have any graphics on it. I don't have my name on it. It's just a backdrop. I was going to use that, and then I thought, no, I'll spring for a little bit extra to actually get my name for name recognition out there. I think that's always really important. The next thing is I ordered a bunch of bags from clearbags.com. So this is a good place to check out, and the cost on this was $405. Yeah, and the quantity that I got was 1,000 bags. Now I don't plan on selling 1,000 things at Salt Lake, but again, if you've been following my videos, I'm trying to buy stuff that's going to last through CTN, perhaps Denver, perhaps Seattle, maybe even Salt Lake next year. And so the more you buy, the more you save, the more your cost goes down. So basically 40 cents a bag. So when I package everything up, I got to add 40 cents to the cost of everything. But you can get cheaper bags, but I got nice and big ones because my largest print is 18 by 24, which is really big. And so I have a nice big poster print, 18 by 24. I have 2 16 by 20s, and then I have the 8 by 10s. If someone buys 8 by 10s, they're just going to get a big bag. And kind of what we thought on that, and when I say we, I'm talking about my son, because he's working with me on this. He's worked in sales, and he has some pretty good ideas. And kind of the ideas that we kind of bounce back and forth is, hey, maybe someone might even want to buy something. This is probably a stupid idea. It was his idea if it's dumb. But no, that maybe somebody might want to buy from us and get the clear bag, get the big bag, so they can put everything else in it. And when I've gone to other events, that's what I've really been glad, when someone has a big enough bag that I can stuff from other vendors in and stuff. So anyway, we sprung for that. I think it's really important for presentation. You're going to give somebody a poster. You also want them to be able to keep it nice and keep it clean, so that when they get home they can actually put it up. Now it is really big, and so we also got rubber bands, and I've got those in another category here in case somebody wants to walk around with it rolled up instead. Another thing that we're going to do is we're going to just suggest to people that because it's so big that if they want to pay for it now, they could pick it up at the end of the day. So they can just come back towards the end of the day, and then we'll give it to them. We're not going to bag it up. We're not going to package it up. What we'll do is we'll take their money and we'll write their name down on the list. And then when they show up, we'll just look for the list, look for the name, and then package it up and give it to them then. That way, if they don't show up, we don't have like a whole bunch of packages sitting around that we're trying to figure out what to do with and not damage and stuff like that. Just an idea that we came up with. Since it is a big poster, and I wouldn't want to walk around with that all day long, but I do want to make the sale. I don't want to say, hey, don't buy now, come back later. I really want to make the sale and then keep it for them. So we're going to try that. We'll see. Got one of those little crappy hand trucks from Home Depot, and it was $27. And that's just so that today we were able to drive right up to the loading dock, and it wasn't that hard. We did use it to bring stuff in, but I'm assuming that in some events, when you clean up, not everybody can get in there with their vehicle, and sometimes you might have to go a distance walking, and it might be a lot nicer to be able to take 3 or 4 boxes on wheels rather than having to carry each one by hand. So that's a little investment we made there. And then I've got kind of a miscellaneous, and in there I'm not going to write them all down, but I've got about $110. And this is, I think that this is like a one-time or almost a one-time kind of investment, just because we haven't done a con before, rubber bands, Post-it notes, pens, tape, zip ties, tablecloth, string, wire, snips, plastic totes, and some other various items that went in there as well. Just basically the minutia that you have to have around the table, water bottles and things just granola bars, just stuff that we're going to need to kind of physically sit there. And then the next thing is we got some stacking stands. So I don't know what you call them, stacking stands. I don't like them. I think we're going to do something else another time. They're those cubes that you can make that are like wire mesh, like black, and you try to fit them together, and they're really hard to put up, and it's time consuming. So we spent a lot more time than we wanted to on that. So I think we're going to look to replace that. But that was we got a lot of them. So that was $85 for 4 packages of those to be able to. The idea on that is so that we can get from the table high up in the air, so that we're going to create like a window, and we're going to have all of our posters and prints and stuff, and you'll see it in the next video. But we want to get up high so that when the crowd's probably an average of 5.5 feet high or so, and no one's probably going to be able to see much. So anything that I think that you have over top of that is going to be really helpful to help people see what you've got going on. I think if everything is way down on the table, there's going to be a lot of people that just pass by and they never know what you have to offer. I think there's a lot of people that will do an event like this, and they're probably underfunded. They probably don't have enough money to really do it right. And I think sometimes even just making sure that you have a few of those things, like we could have done this for probably $50 or $60 too, and still gotten up in the air. And I think that that's just really important so that at least people walking down the road can see what you've got. Okay, the next thing is the convention space. So the table, let's just write it down as let's say convention table. And that one was $250. Thank you, Adam Manoa, for scoring me a table. They were sold out when I tried to get one, and he had picked up 2. And then, as I talked about, we had to get some extra PVC, and we split that cost since our tables are right next to each other. We made the thing behind us tall. Again, you'll see that where our banner hangs. And so I owe Adam $10 for my share of that. And then, so that's just all the stuff that we needed to kind of get ready to go. I'm not including the cost. We're going to be passing out, in the bag, we're going to include a discount coupon code for SVS, svslearn.com. And I'm not counting the cost in here because I don't need those to do the event. And most people aren't going to use those. And that's a company cost, and that company's paying for that. So that doesn't come out of my personal money, so I'm not counting that. But that's going to go in the bag. Okay, so then I'm going to have 200 color prints. And these are, I got them printed on I don't know what kind of printer it is, actually. It's not offset, but and it's not really I think they call it a color copy machine. It's something different. They're really nice. The prints turned out really nice. I should find out what that is so I can tell you, because when you see the prints, you might want to know. They ended up costing close to $1 a piece. It was $197 with tax to get 200 of those prints. And those are color, and they're of my personal work. I don't really expect to sell that many of them. Again, those 200 prints, they could last, for 2, 3, 4, or 5 cons. But I wanted to have those because part of this whole thing is, I want people to see my fan art, but I also want to kind of have them see my children's book stuff. And I'll have a children's book up there to show. I was going to sell them, but I think our table's too crowded, and I just don't think it's the right crowd to really worry about it. So we kind of debated, should you sell some children's books? Probably not. I'm just going to have one up there so that if somebody asks, what you do, I can show it to them, and we'll just have it as a display thing. And then I got this is this is a big number. This is almost embarrassing. 23,000 black and white prints. And yeah, that's right. 23,000. Those are the offset prints I talked about in the last video, where we went to the printing press and watched them coming off the press. And the press is called Press Media. So if you go to pressmedia.com in Utah, look for that printer. They ship. They do a lot of shipping outside of the state, so you could check with them on prices. I thought they did an amazing job. I thought the prints turned out amazing. Again, I don't want to go into this because I talked about it in the last video, why I got so many, why I went with offset printing. So if you want to know that, go back to the other video. But the cost on that was $21.93.65. So now we're starting to get up there into some money. And then I also got 210 t-shirts with the same artwork on it, and I'll show you those in the video. So I will videotape everything that we're selling at the booth, and that'll be on the next video. And so 210 t-shirts cost how much? $15.33. So yeah, getting up there in price. And I got those from Initial Impressions, and I'll have links to those at the bottom in the description area, both Press Media and Initial Impressions. I'll also put a link to clearbags.com down there. And should I put anything else in there? I think that's about it. Okay, so what's the grand total? I already totaled it up, and what I get is $48.68. So that's like a huge number. I didn't plan when I started doing this. There was no plan for that at all. What it was I started selling the t-shirts on Society 6, and they started doing pretty good. I'm not making a ton of money. In fact, on Society 6, I hardly make any money at all when I sell a t-shirt. In fact, I probably make, I think I make $2.50 or something like that when I sell a t-shirt. Compare that to these. These worked out to about, with shipping, these worked out to about $7 a shirt, somewhere right around there, $7. I'm going to sell them for, I guess we're getting into the pricing thing. Let's move over here. Pricing. So the shirts, the cost was $7. Let's just do this here, cost. And then what I'm going to retail them for, $20, right? Why? Because everybody told me basically that people are used to paying $20 for a shirt. I don't know. I don't do this sort of thing. But it's also kind of a risky gamble because I had to get sizes from small all the way up to triple XL, and there's no way I'm going to sell all those shirts we're going to get to the end. Hopefully we get to the end, either at this convention or at CTN. And I'm hoping, and we're going to start running out of larges. We're going to start running out of mediums. We'll start running out of extra larges, whatever. We tried to, order more of the sizes that'll probably sell out first, but you can never get it right. And so we're going to end up with smalls, or we're going to end up with large, who knows what. And so I think that the more, you have to factor that in when you set your price, that you're not going to sell everything, Now, if we were to sell all of our shirts, we got 210 shirts. So if we sold all of them, we would get about $4,200 back. So just by selling the shirts alone, we almost make our money back on the total price. Okay, so let's look at the color prints. So the color prints, and again, I'm not counting on selling a whole lot of these, but the color prints are also going to go for $20. It goes without saying, I think, that you want to keep your prices probably, like $5, $10, $20, $25, something like that, so that when people are paying you, you don't need to have ones. I think having $1 bills is a liability, like if you price something at $19 or $16 or whatever. So keeping nice round numbers means you only really need to have 5s and 10s to make change. We also got, this isn't in the cost, we got a square reader to swipe cards with, and I'm assuming that we're going to be swiping a lot of cards, so we probably won't have to do as many cash sales, but who knows what's going to happen there. And then so then we have the prints, and I'm just looking down here and making sure I don't miss anything. So then we have 8x10s, and those are going to go, and I think I'm pricing my stuff a little bit low, but I want to, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that a little bit more too. And then we have the posters that are 16 by 20, and those are going to go for $15 each. And then we have the 18 by 24s, and those are going to be $20 each. And we're going to also have a deal where if you buy 2 of anything, the buy 2 get 1 free. The reason for that is I'm going off of I've interviewed a lot of people, talked to a lot of people that have sold at these events, and from what I hear, there's a lot of people that will ask for a deal. They'll try to haggle or try to bargain with you. And I think a lot of artists, from what I've heard, a lot of artists just don't want a deal. And I can understand that. I totally get that. Your price is your price. And sometimes when I sell something here at the house, when somebody comes over to look at something or buy something, I don't even want to get up and haggle with them. I just tell them, look, if you're going to come and haggle, don't even bother to come. This is my price. I don't need to sell the item, but this is what I need to get out of it. I get that. But I think if you're in a situation where you're there selling, that is what you're doing all day, and people are going to constantly be hitting you with the same kind of a thing, I think it makes sense to figure out your deal ahead of time that works for you. And basically selling more quantity. I mean, if my cost on these black and white prints for all of them is 9 cents a piece, then yeah, I want to sell as many of them as I can. I mean, the buy two get one free. Maybe I should do buy four get two free. But I want to sell as many of them as I can. Because the cost is really low. The T-shirts, there's a real cost behind each one of those, so I have to be careful on those. But on the prints, I can basically just use that deal. And so what I'll do is like equal or lesser value. So if people buy two 8x10s, they can get a free 8x10. If they buy two medium-sized posters, they can get a free poster. We are going to do a thing, though, where if they buy two medium posters, they can also get the large to entice them to do that. Because getting $30 is better than getting $20 when your cost is 9 cents a print, right? Let's see. Then there's that. Let's see. So I want to talk just a little bit about the pricing and defend it a little bit, because I anticipate some people. Yeah, I've heard stories, I've heard stories of artists, getting mad at each other at these events for different things, I've heard and I understand a lot of them too. I've heard of some people standing out in front of their table, and, other people that are next to them feel like they're siphoning off traffic. And in fact, at some events, I've heard that you're not allowed to stand out in front. There's all kinds of etiquette things I think you should do. Calling people in to your booth, talking to them as they're passing by and trying to get their attention off of the row on the other side. I think that's probably bad form. When it comes to pricing, though, I'm never going to buy the argument that someone else is pricing too low. You know what I mean? Like, you'll hear a lot of people criticize companies because they charge too much for their products and stuff, They charge exorbitant prices for whatever reason, But if you look in the retail space, typically, look at the shirt. The shirt costs $7. I'm basically charging 3 times as much. What is the markup when the price is 9 cents and I'm charging $20 for that? There will be people who say an 18 by 24 poster print at $20 is too low. There will be people that say a 16 by 20 at $15 is way too low. To them, I say, justify that to the buying public and tell them that what they're paying is too low. You know what I mean? I just have a hard time getting a product for 9 cents and marking it up that, or trying to stay even with what everyone else is pricing their stuff at, just for the sake of protecting the market. And that's probably a criticism that I'm going to get. But I feel like, it's a free market, and it should be competitive. And if somebody's not buying your stuff, maybe your prices are too high. Maybe you're not offering the right thing. I've heard some great stories. I heard a story from one of my students who, went through 4 years of college, and he went to do the Salt Lake Comic Con, and he was selling kind of fantasy art stuff, and he just wasn't selling. He just was having a really hard time selling. And there was a high school girl sitting next to him, and she would draw Mr. Potato Head. Apparently, I wasn't there. I didn't see this one. All right, I was there, but I didn't see her booth. And apparently, she would draw any character you wanted as Mr. Potato Head, or she would do a portrait of the customer as Mr. Potato Head. So these were all originals, and she was just making them right there on the spot. And he said she worked from Thursday all the way through Saturday, and was constantly $30 a pop all day long, cranking these things out. People would leave, they'd come back, they'd pick it up. She'd work on others. He figured that she probably made 10 times what he made, and she was a high school student. He'd been through 4 years of college. We're all unique artists. We all have a different offering. I think it raises the bar when you see somebody doing something super creative, or you see somebody doing something super amazing in the craft area, where people are just buying it and buying it and buying it. I have a friend that did the Ukiyo-e Heroes, the Kickstarter with the Nintendo games done as Japanese poster style art. The Kickstarter that funded for $323,000. And he does really well at these events. He'll be at Salt Lake. His idea is just amazing. Jed Henry, I'll link him too. In fact, I'm going to make myself a note because I'm going to look at this. I'm going to link Jed Henry in this thing. I can't even spell his name. Henry with a capital H. So my defense on low prices are, I got my product low. I want to keep my prices low. I want to sell a lot. I want to make my money back. And I am not there to protect your table. That's your job. And you need to make something that is amazing that people want and price it appropriately so that you also attract a lot of customers. So the last thing that I want to end up with on this is that I have known a lot of people that have seemingly, well, I do know a lot of people who have had the means to do something like this, but they will tell me they actually don't have the cash to be able to buy posters or to be able to buy t-shirts and do things like that, to be able to buy the table space, to be able to travel, and to be able to leverage their money to be able to make more money with it. And they'll say they don't have enough money to do that. And then I look at what they own, and they drive nicer cars than I do. They have a nicer house. They have a lot of nice things. And I'm giving you this because this is my piece of advice. If you've ever read, well, you probably haven't read it, but The Millionaire Next Door. The book The Millionaire Next Door talks about how a lot of millionaires, you'd never know they were a millionaire because they drive a clunker, because they don't drive the nicest stuff or have the nicest stuff. My car is 12 years old. We have the money to go out and buy a brand new car right now, 2 brand new cars. We don't, because I want to have money to use for business ventures like this. So if I were to lose this $4,800, it's not the end of the world, because it's extra money that's sitting off to the side. I don't need it. I want it, and I want to get it back really badly, because I want to do the next business venture. But I don't have to make money. And it's just really nice to be able to have that sitting there. And I would trade that for having a nice car, because the more I do this, the more money I'll have, and the easier it will be to have nicer things later on. Delaying gratification is the mark of an entrepreneur. It's something that we have in common, and if you can't do that, you're gonna find yourself in a harder situation if you want to do events like this and have money to be able to risk and to be able to make even more money with it. And probably the very last thing that I want to say is exactly that if you don't have the money, I would never have put this kind of money on a credit card. I wouldn't borrow it. There are business ventures, and there are things that I've borrowed money for in the past, and I have used credit cards to fund my business in the past. It's really nerve-wracking. And again, I think it puts you in a position where you're nervous. You're super nervous. You have to get the money back. If you don't get the money back, you can't make your payments. If you can't make your payments, bad things are going to happen. And so that kind of stress is just not what you need to give yourself. So my advice would be to save up to do something like this. I don't think that you need to do t-shirts. I don't think you need to do offset printing. Again, I gave reasons for why I took such drastic measures. But I really feel strongly that you know, if you feel like you have something that people want, you know, another important thing that I'll say on this is that I've tested the artwork that I'm going to be sharing up there on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and I've gotten a really good response from it, but way better than I thought. And my Society 6 shop has done way better than I thought. And those are indications that I've got something that people relate to and will probably want. I've tried to price it so that it won't be a deterrent for them to get it. And we'll see what happens. Again, on the next video, I'm pretty sure it's going to be the next one, because Comic-Con is this weekend. And this is September the 23rd of 2015. So anyway, again, if you're coming to this video, just know that there's a playlist. You can watch them start to finish after all this stuff is over. I will also share my numbers for CTN, and I'll add those to the playlist, and we'll see where this whole thing goes. This is an exciting ride. In fact, it's funny because I told my wife today, I'm probably more excited to do this stupid Comic-Con event than just about anything I've done in illustration before. I mean, it's been super exciting to get commission work, but it's a different kind of excitement. I think the fun in this is just being there, seeing people coming by, and you know, they're voting for your stuff with their dollars, and I think that's going to be really cool. But also just today when I was setting up there, there's just so many friends that I saw setting their booths up, and looked on our UVU Facebook page tonight, and there were probably 10 of our students that are going to be tabling up there. So it's where artists need to be that are doing this sort of thing. So I'm just really excited about it. Anyway, do not subscribe if you don't want to see more stuff like this, and I'll see you on my next video.